Welcome back to Circle in Faith. I'm your host, Christine Barella, and I am just delighted and honored that you're joining us today. If you're a new listener or viewer, I just want to welcome you to a community of women where we believe in faith, resilience, and the unfailing love of God. And if you're a returning listener or viewer, I want to thank you because I'm really enjoying walking alongside of you in our journey of faith and love for our Lord. And today I have an amazing guest. Her name is Nachie Marquez. And thank you for being here, Nachie. I'm just so honored and delighted. Nachie's also a very dear friend, but I'm just so grateful you're with us today.
Thank you, Christine, for having me.
Yes,
I appreciate it.
Of course. And before we get started today, I really want to set the foundation. Nachie's going to share some amazing strategies and tools with us today from her life experience of having a really high pressure, stressful jobs in her career. And so I want to read her bio so you can just hear all the things that she was involved with and the types of jobs she had and the things that she did. Obviously I can't go too deep, but I just really think it's important. So bear with me. I'm going to brag about my friend for a minute because I know that sometimes that's uncomfortable for people, but I just want to read her bio. So here we go. Nachie Marquez retired in June of 2018 after a 35-plus year career in local government. She served 4 years as the City of Chandler's Assistant City Manager, having been selected in March 2014 and was the first Latina to hold that post in the city's history. That's awesome. She joined Chandler as the first Communications and Public Affairs Director, so mind you, the first Communications and Public Affairs Director in September 2000, and has worked for the cities of Phoenix, Tempe, Mesa, and Tucson prior to joining Chandler. Prior to coming to Chandler, she served as the Community Relations Manager for the City of Tempe, where she worked almost 12 years and was the Public Relations Representative for the City of Phoenix Police Department before that. Nachie received a Bachelor of Arts degree in 1985 from Arizona State University in Tempe, Arizona, with a major in broadcast journalism, and went on to earn a Master of Art degree in 1989 in vocational education from Northern Arizona University. In addition, Nachie has served as an adjunct faculty member at both ASU and Chandler Gilbert Community College, where she has taught communication and public relations courses. She also conducted national and international workshops and training on topics ranging from internal and external communications to media relations and citizen outreach efforts. She was a member of both the International City County Management Association and the Arizona City County Management Association, and a life member of the ASU Alumni Association, as well as served on ASU's President's Minority Advisory Council and served on the board of directors of the local government Hispanic Network. Now in retirement, Nachie has become a certified Pilates yoga Payo instructor, avid hiker, and involved in all things fitness. She also continues to mentor young adults and local government professionals. So I just want to thank you, Nachie, for serving all of the local cities here in Arizona, because truly that's changed lives. And I know that's not an easy position, and it's very high pressure and stressful when you're talking about being in the government and serving in the capacity that you did, and actually being the first Communications and Public Affairs Director, having to figure out how to do it all, right, and set the stage for your predecessor. So, I mean, there's just so much in here to unpack, and that's what I want us, the viewers and listeners, to know today, is that through all of this, when people retire, many times they have some health issues because of the pressure of stress, but you figured out along the way, even in such a high pressure job, to really put your mind, body, and soul first so that you could perform in a job, because not only did you have a job, you were married and had 2 children. And so we'll talk about that in a little bit. But ladies, what I want to share today is last several episodes we've talked a lot about faith and faith in God. So I want you to hear me, and Nachie and I, we both agree faith is number one. You have to have a strong faith. Obviously God is number one, no matter what you're going through, whether happy times or storms. And so we want to take care of our mind, body, and soul at all times, so that when a storm comes along, we're able to manage that storm successfully throughout the way and not lose our health or get super stressed or depressed or what have you. Just having tools in our toolbox to help us get there, and that's a daily thing. And the Bible says that our body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. Therefore, we need to honor God with our bodies, and you can find that in 1 Corinthians 6, 19 through 20. And also included in that is our mind. Our mind is so powerful. And there's a saying that goes, as you think, so you are. And there's also a scripture, Romans 2:12, that talks about renewing our mind daily so that we can be in his perfect will and peace and please him. And then taking action, being obedient in what we're supposed to do every day. And in Joshua 1:9, it talks about that God is with us. He allows us to be courageous and strong because he's always there for us. And then today, with the real treat of having Nachie here, all of these things that I just talked about, the mind, body, and soul, and the scripture that I just read, really is important in how she managed all of that in her successful careers and how she is living life to the full all through her career and actually right now in retirement up here in our wonderful place. As you can see, we're out in the woods. You can hear the stream behind us, and we did this on purpose because she's really going to talk again about our mind and our body and what that means. And we know nature really brings all of that to us. And so without further ado, I do want to ask Nachie to share a little bit about her personal life, her family, and then I'm going to ask her just to dive deep into the strategies and tools that I know that you've prepared for us today, so that we all can live life to the full, as it states in John 10:10, that God wants us to live life to the full. So thank you, ladies, again for joining us. And Nachie, thank you again. I'm just so happy you're here. And why don't you share a little bit about, your family life, what you want the audience to know, and then let's dive into all the strategies and tools that have helped you along the way.
Great. Thank you, Christine, again so much for having me. And I feel extremely blessed. One, I have a very wonderful family, a husband of 40 years.
That's awesome.
2 adult boys, again, who are wonderful individuals, and really my support system. You read through my background. That doesn't happen on its own. Yes. You've got to have that network, whether it's a family, the community of friends, community of coworkers, and knowing that you're not alone in that journey was absolutely huge for me. Yes. As someone, as you stated, that served 35 plus years in public service, a career that I loved. I could be doing it still today, but realized, how blessed I was to be able to retire early.
Yes.
But during that process of having high stressful, high challenging jobs, what I resorted to was everything that made me who I am, being an athlete. I realized all of the lessons that I learned by being an athlete: resilience, handling pressure, motivation, being able to be self-disciplined.
Right.
All of that played into my career.
Yeah, could you tell us a little bit about your career real fast, so we know what kind of athlete were you?
Absolutely.
And you started, I know, very young.
So at the age of 6, 7, I joined the first, what was then called synchronized swimming. It is now known as artistic swimming. Joined the team. We were the first team for this club called Tucson Synchro. And as a matter of fact, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but my coach is still coaching today, 53 years later.
Wow. Shout out to Coach.
Yes, Coach
Amazing.
Candy Kammer. Awesome individual.
Yes, that's amazing.
An individual who I am who I am today because of her. I truly,
awesome.
truly believe that. So that started that journey for me as an athlete, learning the value of hard work, learning the positivity of, you can do what you can do because you set yourself in that mind frame. And really it was my coach that instilled that in me, because I was learning all that. I was a very young kid, but realized early on she was a difficult, hard coach in the sense of she, didn't take excuses. If you were there, you were there to work out. If you were there, you were there to perform 100%.
Right. The expectations were really high.
Were very high.
She knew that you could elevate to
and
that.
as a young girl, I didn't really like that. I will be honest with you. It was
Of course.
she is really mean. And I've told her that, and I said, but thank you for being so mean, because you formed me and you shaped me.
She pushed
but
you,
but I realized, if she didn't do that, she cared enough and had the compassion to want us to be good as athletes, but first and foremost as individuals.
Right. She knew that it would translate to your everyday life.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's incredible to reflect back on that through her coaching, she was shaping all of us girls. And we were all going through this together.
Right.
So, flash forward, did that for 10 years, competed throughout the United States. That was what gave me really the sense that there's life beyond
Yes.
my little community of Tucson, Arizona, which is where I was
Yeah,
raised.
so you traveled with the team.
I traveled
and
at
everything, so
these
that's a whole nother level of a skill set that you learned.
And my
Yes.
mother having the trust in my coach to
Yes.
let me go. And
Yes.
really, Candy became my second mom. I probably spent more time with her as a young child than my own mother.
Right.
But again, having that trust that my mother had for our coach was huge. And, you know, I'm just so thankful that I never gave up or gave in. Because it was hard. It was, you know, I would get pulled out of school as a little girl.
Yes.
My coach, back in the day when you could do this,
Yes,
would
yes.
come to my school, ask to have me be released so I could go out of town.
Travel,
or
yes.
go to a water show or go whatever. And the kids would say, what are you doing? What is it that you do? And it was very hard to explain as a 9, 10, 11-year-old. Well, I'm a synchronized swimmer, and that's ballet in the water to music, and you wear a nose clip, and you have a hair in your butt, and it's just kind
All
of goofy.
things,
Yeah, when you describe it, it's like, oh my God, I do that.
Yes.
But it was kind of neat as well. Everybody knew, wow, Nachie does something, you know. But that ability to be training and competing helped me in the classroom, helped me as a student, helped me as a daughter, helped me as a sister, as a friend, because, you know, the being patient, the being understanding, all of those skill sets really are things that I still rely on today. So then flash forward, go on to college, and I thought, you know, I kind of got ahead of myself. Synchronized swimming was not an Olympic sport, so I thought, I gotta find a sport that I can compete in. So I volunteered to be a diver in high school.
Oh, okay.
I'd never done that in my life, but I was a gymnast, so I thought it can't be that hard. I'm gonna land in water. You know, what could be the worst thing that could happen? And had very early success. Again, because I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know I couldn't do these things.
Right, you just did.
Yeah, my coach was like, we need, you know, the swimming coach, because I was swimming at the time. We have no divers. Who would like to do it? I'm like, me, I'll do it. You know, never even going, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And again, had very early success. So I dove my 4 years in high school, and I thought I could train for the Olympics in this. So then I started shopping universities. And, you know, my sites were right here. It was USC, Cal Berkeley, University of Texas in Austin. Oh, yeah, and there's ASU. Because I had been competing at the University of Arizona at that time. So my future husband and I drove up, and Arizona State University had just built its Mona Plummer Aquatic Facility. State-of-the-art diving facility. Right then and there, I said, I'm coming here. Again, I hadn't made the team, mind you.
Right.
I said, I'm coming here and I'm going to dive here.
This is what I'm doing.
This is what I'm doing.
Yep.
So, lo and behold, the semester starts. I go and try out, because even the athletes who have been recruited, and we did have a number of Olympic caliber athletes that have been recruited to dive and swim at ASU. And so we did a competition called the Maroon and Gold Meet. And that's what decides who's going to make the team.
Oh, wow.
You know, for me, there was no pressure. I did, again, I was just, I know I can do this. I set my mindset, the skill sets that I had built all through my synchronized swimming. You can. The word can was always in there.
I can.
Yeah, nothing was ever can. I can. Of course I can. And I made the team.
That's
and I'm like, well, of
awesome.
course I made the team. So my coach is like, I was on an academic scholarship at that time. He's like, we've got to get you on scholarship. And then was given a partial athletic scholarship. So not only do I make the university team, a Pac back then, Pac-10, Pac-12 team, it is the Big 12 now. I realize now what a big deal it is. Back then I didn't really understand it. I didn't comprehend what that meant. I just thought, I'm diving for ASU. I'm a Sun Devil. And excited.
Yes.
And it also meant that I had to keep my grades up, that, you know, our coach, again, another great figure in my life.
Right.
My ASU diving coach. The key thing there is I knew he cared about us as athletes and individuals first and foremost.
That's
huge.
huge.
It wasn't so much that we need to win this competition. His whole goal was do well in school, be a good individual. And then at the end of the day, if you've got your diving and you do very well, I'm excited for you as a student athlete.
Yeah, so that's amazing for coaches. I just want to give a shout out to any coaches out there that they truly make a difference in the lives of their athletes. And really putting the individual first, you will get more out of your athletes as well, because when people know you care about them, that's huge. And before I forget too, one of the big things you mentioned, Nachie, was community. And we're really focusing on community of women. And so if you don't have a community, your community is out there. I want to encourage you to find your community, whether it's your local church, whether it's if you're an avid hiker or whatever it is, just find that community, because it does make a difference in helping you get not only through storms, but also to enjoy life. So anyway, I just want to do a sidebar. Okay, so that's amazing, because you just, oh my gosh, showed so many skills that you gleaned from all of that, and being courageous and just moving forward and not worried about what people were going to think.
That's correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Not worried at all. Like, in your mind, I can do this, and you didn't say, what if the coach at ASU, I didn't get any of these other big scholarships. ASU's a big school too. Oh, maybe I shouldn't. I mean, you just, I'm going for it. Because what's the worst that could happen? That you wouldn't make it. And then you could try again the next year. But so anyway, okay, so keep going.
Yeah, so it really never crossed my mind, I'll be honest with you. And I think, again, all of the skill sets and the person I had become and was continuing to become in this process of, you reference community. That's great emphasis there, because now I had a new community. I had the ASU community. I had the people in the dormitory that I was getting to know. And I knew there was that support. And I think what you put out in the world, you receive back. And for me it was, being a good participant on that team, being there for my coach. In fact, my coach was like, oh my gosh, I need to meet all of your coaches, because you are an incredible person. And he would call on me to help mediate with some of our other athletes, some of our divers that maybe were struggling. And and so I look back now, I was becoming a mentor without even realizing. I'm a freshman in college, and my coach is calling on me saying, I need your help with Athlete A. I've got a little bit of an attitude problem, and I know that you could work on that, because you come in here ready to work out every single day. And I did, because I knew what a privilege it was for me to be on that team. I never took that for granted. I was never scared off by the notion of diving at that competitive level, and realizing that I had the support and the backing of my coach, and then my teammates, and then the swimming team, because our points contributed to them, was I can't let them down. And I can't, it starts with me, I can't let myself down, and then we go from there. So,
so what you did, okay, so women, you can do this too, not just being a diver, but what you did, Nachie, is you took a step each time, right? And then doors open. So you didn't wait and say, well, I'm just going to wait to see. Like, you took that step, and then it was like, oh, and then another door opened. I'm going to go through that door. And so that's what I want to encourage too, that anybody listening, and even with me in my journey right now after my retirement, doing all this, it's a step of faith. And I didn't know how to do any of this, and so just taking that first step of how to learn how to do a YouTube, all the things, like, once you start stepping and doors start opening, I don't say it becomes easier, but you become more confident.
Absolutely.
And it's okay then if it fails, because you're like, oh, that didn't work, but these 5 other times did. Let me go this way instead. So I noticed that's what you did, and you may back in the day didn't realize it, but you kept taking those steps. Doors open, opportunities open. You'd never been a mentor before, but you didn't say no. You're like, okay, and then you did it, and then that opened another door. And you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so that's just, and I think, encouraging women to do that in their life right now, no matter where they're at.
And just trying is not failing. You gotta try.
Exactly.
Trying is not failing, and having people believe in you. I thought, if my coach thinks I can do it, well, absolutely I can do this. So he not only continued to build that self-confidence, self-discipline, the motivation that I came with, he took it to a whole other level. And then the response coming back from my teammates, I mean, we were peers, so I had to play it very cautiously.
Of course.
But I was learning. Part of my, I keep talking about my journey is I come from a big family. I'm number 6 of 7 children. So guess what? Mediating, negotiating, all that started as a little kid. If I wanted to get my beans and tortillas, I needed to be at the table, before my siblings, and then to negotiate whatever we had to do. So it's interesting how in our life, everything that we're doing is helping to shape and to mold us. And that just continued on. So again, I had a very successful career, not only as a student at the university, being on the dean's list, and to me, I was so out of my comfort zone in the sense that, it's like, wow, I'm here.
Right.
And again, there were no, who stops us in our life? We do, individually.
That's
so
right.
I think when we can put that mindset to say, why not? Why not me?
Right. Why
Right?
not me? Instead
Why
of
not me?
Why not me?
And
Yes.
so, that continued on. I received the first, my undergraduate is in broadcast journalism, the first internship at a television station. There was one available when I was a senior at ASU. I got it. I'm like, yes. And again, there was another opportunity to not only prove myself, but not to put not only boundaries or obstacles in my way. And I think as individuals, we tend to do that.
Yes, unintentionally.
Unintentionally,
Yes,
but all of my experiences have been, everything, as I stated earlier, that I rely on today is put yourself out there.
Yes.
You said it earlier, one step in front of the other, doors will open, and not everything always plays out. I don't want to make it seem like it wasn't...
That you didn't fail in anything.
Yeah, that it wasn't a
you
challenge.
Had your fair share of challenges.
Of course
and
it
failures.
was.
Yes, yes.
But it's the mindset that you put to those things so that you are not held back.
Right, right.
And because people will do that. So why allow them to do it? Don't you become that person.
Right, exactly. So some people unintentionally do that to others. Some do it intentionally. But then also, what I'm hearing you say, what you did was you projected positivity and kindness and love to others.
I did.
Which in turn, you got
I received it.
And so that's huge too, because God is love, and He wants us to love all people, even the challenging ones. So I'm sure in your career you went up against a lot of roadblocks, and just knowing you personally as a friend, there are many times when you could have done something different, not so positive, but you chose to take the high road at all times, and continue, not to take abuse, so I'm not saying that,
No.
but just to be professional and respectful, and continue to be respectful of people,
Correct.
no matter how badly they hurt you or the negative things they said to you or about you.
Yes,
so
that is correct.
It's
That
not
is correct.
easy, so I'm not saying it's easy,
Yeah.
but to project love, caring, kindness, and respect to all people at all times.
Yes,
Just-
correct.
I know that you did that.
Yeah.
And that too brings happiness in your life when you know in your heart that you are doing the right thing, no matter what.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
correct. And, and things will happen in life that are totally out of our control. And you have to
Right.
understand that there's certain things that you just have to let go,
Right.
and move forward based on the things that you can do.
Right.
And there's so much of that.
Yes.
So lead into the start of my career, never thinking I would work in public service. Again, no limitations. I was wide open. What is it? What is it?
What
that
am I
I'm
gonna
gonna
do?
I don't know what I'm
Guide
going
me,
to do.
direct
But I'm
me.
going to be doing something. And
Yes.
speaking of faith, I mean, I've always been a believer.
Yes.
I, grew up always knowing that came first and foremost, and that there is always a higher power that
Yes.
we need to look to beyond just us.
Right.
That
Yes.
guides us through especially when we're uncertain of some of our decision
Right,
making.
right.
And
That's awesome.
I launched and started in television, loved that career, but realized early on, I don't know if this is really what I want to do. I just got married, never saw my husband,
Yeah.
and I thought, I don't know, this is going to be a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
But I thought, that's okay. I will figure this out. And started volunteering in the area of communications, public relations at the TV station on my days off.
Oh, wow.
Which were hardly rare because news is 24/7, 365.
Right.
But that way I thought I can figure out what my next step is going to be.
Right.
And again, people giving you opportunities because you're willing to put yourself out there.
Right.
And had a community of people that I had been working with in my television career that said, come apply for this job at the Phoenix Police Department, you would be perfect. And I'm like, they think I'm going to be perfect. I'm going to do this.
Yes.
Again, not putting, I didn't even know what public service, government work, I had no concept of that.
Right.
And landed just in a wonderful position, promoting the Phoenix Police Department and just thriving and loving it. And I thought, I'm going to be here for the rest of my life. That was and then my husband.
There was other plans.
He, saw that I worked with a lot of men.
Yeah.
So I think we need to find you another career. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm happy. Lo and behold, we lived at the city of Tempe and loved that community as well. And a position came open. And okay, put in, thought if it doesn't work, I've got this wonderful job.
Right,
I always say move on to something when things are good.
Yeah.
Don't move when things are bad, because you're going to find the bad there.
Right.
So you never want to launch forward because I got to get rid of this bad thing.
Yeah.
You got to work through that. So I
great
have
advice.
felt very fortunate that any time I made a move in my life, anytime, it's when things were really good, when I was very happy. And I know intuitively it may not sound like, and why would you leave? Because you know that if that doesn't pan out, you got the good over here.
Right.
So the good can become the great.
Right.
And that's usually how it continued to happen for me. And here I land in the city of Tempe, and again, now I'm promoting the entire city, not just the police department.
The whole
I've got
city.
police, fire, public works, transportation. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like, so very, very quickly I dove into my job and realized I need a lot of energy for this. I had it, but I thought I need to be taking care of myself because I'm putting in 10, 12, 13, 14, up to 15 hours a day at my job.
Right.
Not because someone said you need to do that, because I love what I was doing, and that's what it was taking for me to get it done.
You wanted to do an exceptional job.
I did. It's in my DNA.
Yes.
Being an athlete, you never underperform. You don't just perform. You exceed in your performance.
Right.
And I applied that to my career. And so I started then my my get up at 4 in the morning, run a couple of miles. And I found that I had so much energy. I know it just doesn't sound right, but I was ready to conquer the day, and I'd get up excited for the day with a smile on my face. And I had one of our employees, and I'll never forget this, just a wonderful coworker. He says, I've never seen you not smiling. And he told the whole floor, I want to get called the day she is not smiling and is happy.
That's so awesome.
And he never got that call. My whole tenure at the city, and I said, his name was Bob, and I said, Bob, it's never going to happen.
Right.
This is who I am.
Right.
And he,
but too, you've made choices to do that as well.
Yes.
So, I know some people, they say personalities, but also too, the mind is so powerful.
Yes.
So, I know you chose to love every job that you had wherever you were placed. But then you were intentional about it. You got up and you knew you needed to take care of your physicality. So you did what worked for you, which was running 2 miles in the morning, which we know research shows when you do physical activity, it releases the stress and it makes you stronger and happy. It releases a dopamine. So you have a natural high, if you will, in love. So, it may not be running for some people, but it could be yoga in the morning. It could be a walk, something, right? To truly help with that. The physicality, but also the mind as well.
Absolutely.
So
and that's what
really
I say,
awesome.
move forward, do something.
Yes, exactly.
And that became the something for me, and the reason I had to do it at 4 in the morning, because I had evening meetings, and I thought if I don't get it in, it's not going to happen.
Right.
And then I saw what it did to me physically and mentally. I was sharp to go through the day. Granted, I do have energy, if you can't tell. It's natural, but I need a lot of it for the job that I had before me. And I could feel the employees around me react to that positivity, to the energy. And people would comment, I want to be around you.
Yes.
You lift me up. My boss would say, I love when you walk into the room, you light it all up, Nachie.
Because it's the energy that you bring to the table.
Yeah. And there were times I thought I had to tamp it down. I tell my husband, tell me when I need to, and he's like, okay, I will. But I don't know that you can do that.
Right.
But, you got to be who you are.
Right.
And you got to apply that to the situation at hand. In this case, it's my job.
Right.
And so that continued. So did about my 12 years in Tempe, with the highlight there in 1995, being asked to lead Super Bowl 30, the very first Super Bowl.
She was in charge of all that. Talk about stressful and pressure.
Yes.
Holy cow.
Yes. But again, I had my boss who said, I'd like you to lead this effort on behalf of our city. And I thought in my head, my wheels are like, is he crazy? I don't know the first thing about football. I was a cheerleader, but I couldn't tell you a down from a defense to an all. I really was. And I thought, I just put a smile on my face, and I thought, if he thinks I can do this, I can do this. Of course I can. And I realized very early on, taking on that assignment, it was a 2-year assignment, that there was a beginning, a middle, and an end. So I told my husband, put my picture up on the refrigerator. He hardly saw me anyway. I said, the boys need to know they have a mother, but I'm going to be very busy.
Yes.
And he says, like more busy, like you're not going to come home, or what kind of busy are we talking about? I said, just a lot more longer hours. But I never stopped my physical activity. I knew that more than any time in my life, I needed to be sharp mentally, I needed to be sharp physically, I could not afford to get sick. I had to lead a team. I had to lead our city. At that time, a community of about 150,000 residents, 1,300 employees, our mayor, our city council. It was on my shoulders, and I could not screw this up.
And the Super Bowl.
And the Super Bowl.
World
yes,
will be watching.
The eyeballs were on Tempe, Arizona. But again, I didn't do this alone. It wasn't for Nachie to do alone. We had all the other communities involved. We had the NFL properties. These were relationships I had to establish and develop, so I used all my tools. You know, got my toolbox, and I thought, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. And I tend to be a very organized person in the structure of how I set things up, which really, really helped with this experience. But first and foremost, the fact that someone thought I could do this, I've got this. I never questioned that I didn't. Even in the times where I'd sit in a room, table full of men, I'm the only female going, oh my goodness.
Which also then translate, what can we do, ladies, as individuals, is we can have faith in others and not fakey faith. Like, I mean, if you see somebody that is struggling and you want to boost their confidence, like believing in people, because it's so, I think it's human nature almost not to, I mean, to put limitations on ourselves and others. And sometimes it can be very close people to you that you want to step out and do something, and they're afraid for you because they don't want you to fail, so they may discourage you. And so just really make sure that when you are ready to move, that you are really following what the Lord wants you to do. And certainly seek wise counsel, but you just need to be careful, because some people may, like you were so blessed to have all those people say, you can do it. And so I'm sure there was people that kind of said, no, you can't, but you didn't choose to listen to them. You chose to listen to those that said you could. And so I just want to encourage ladies out there to really be careful, and also be careful what you say, but also what you let infiltrate you to keep you stagnant.
Right. And I really did feel that people wanted me to succeed. Absolutely there were naysayers. Absolutely there were people on the sidelines. But you surround yourself with the people that are going to help propel you. But at the same time, I relied on a lot of people. I empowered a lot of people around me because I didn't know what I was doing. I honestly, I had never run a Super Bowl. I had never negotiated a contract. You know, I'm dealing with what we call the NFL beast, because that's what they were, who came in and they wanted us to roll over and play dead for 2 weeks
and do everything. And you're like, no, this is our city. When you leave, it's still our city and our people.
And our residents. I had to convince our community that this is, we want to do this, we want to host this. And many of them said, we don't want it in our community, but it was there.
Just because it's overwhelming with the number of people that come.
And what it does, it engulfs a community. So I really had to take that charge and show them that
balance all of that out.
I am going to keep the best interests of our community, because we will be here when it's said and done. And so, wow, talk about learning just tremendous amount, adding to my skill set, but really still relying on the core characteristics that had guided me through my life. The self-discipline, the motivation, the working under pressure, the resilience, that if you don't doubt yourself, that you put that in the universe, that I have got this, you've got it. And I'm not saying, again, there were hurdles, plenty of hurdles, but it's one step in front of the other, and not allowing yourself to have others tell you what you can and can't do. And I wouldn't be talking about it if Super Bowl had not been successful, but it was. It was a very successful event. If not, I would say, I don't know who did it, but, you know, I had nothing to do with that. But it's awesome to be able to reflect back and know that I was called upon at that time for this community. So, talk about riding a natural high when you're working on those kinds of things. And mind you, lots of hours. You know, there were times where I didn't sleep at home. We had gotten an RV that we put in the parking lot of City Hall because we were just working around the clock, but knowing that that's not a forever. Nothing that we do in life.
Different seasons in our life, and that's also too, like, if you're going through a season right now where you're going through a storm, it will pass. You just need to stay vigilant in having faith in the Lord and taking one step at a time. And it's okay to cry and scream and yell and do all the things, but there's seasons in our lives that we go
Absolutely.
through, and some seasons are just joyful and it's all about celebratory things. But we know that there's always challenges in Scripture. You know, God promises we're going to go through challenges. So, just what I hear you saying, Nachie, is doing all the having community, having your physicality, your mindset, helped you move forward in creating a super successful Super Bowl with people around you. So it wasn't like you just woke up and said, oh, I better start working out, I better have community. Like, you had already established all of that, so when something big came, like, your mind, body, and soul, you were ready.
I was ready.
And even though you had to, you know, like you said, sleep maybe in a camper, you knew it wasn't forever, and your family knew it wasn't forever. It was a season, right? But all your preparation for you, by mind, body, and soul, helped you walk into that and come out on the other end intact.
Yes, correct. That's
maybe
a good
little
point.
tired,
That's
but
a good point.
intact because of, you know, just all the things you had done to prepare and continue to do when you were in the midst of it all.
Yes, and staying focused, but also knowing you are going to make sacrifices as you move on in life. That just comes with the territory.
That's true, no matter
and
what.
not focusing on the sacrifice, knowing that it's part of that.
Right.
And, you know, again, me being blessed in the sense that I had a very supportive husband. My kids, I just think they were like, well, I don't know, we see my mom and we don't see her. You know, my husband would bring them to the different events that we had. And I think they saw my happiness, how I was excited about what I was doing. I wasn't miserable, you know, I was just elated. So they fed off of that energy. Had I been like, oh my gosh, this is so exhausted.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, they'd have been, why are you doing this, Mom? Why are you doing this?
Right.
But I never felt that. I really honestly never
and you
felt
included
that.
them.
And they were included in the
part.
process. They were little, you know, they were little guys at the time. But it's what you put out there. And again, there was an ending to it, and just the privilege to get to be called upon to do that. I thought, again, I say, do not screw this up. You've been handed this wonderful opportunity, and people think you can do it. So continued to stay with the city. 4 years thereafter, got promoted to lead the community relations department. My boss had left the city the day after Super Bowl, and they came into my office and said, we'd love you to lead the you know, so one thing led to another good thing. Again, those doors continuing to open. And now I had a whole team of folks who had been around me through the Super Bowl, and I think we were all just realizing we're gonna funnel all this to continue forward movement for this community. And then just when I was just happy and you're never really comfortable because you always just have to be on guard. City of Chandler came calling and said, we'd love for you to join our team. It didn't help that got a lot of, you know, the Super Bowl got a lot of publicity. My name was in a lot of things. Again, so if I'd have messed up, that also would have been out there. I knew that. I understood that. But in this case, it was all to the positive. And that was just an honor to be asked. And initially, honestly, I was happy. I said, no, I'm where I want to be. I'm like, I am retiring in Tempe. Like I said, I'm retiring in Phoenix, but didn't happen. And that prodding continued. And you know, that's when, again, I prayed a lot about it, you know, asked God, guide me here. I'm in a perfect place, but I know you have a plan for me. God has a plan for all of us. I tell people, when you just are not sure, let go, because you will get signs, you will get an indication of where life is going to take us. So I never questioned that. I thought, I'm going to be led to where I need to go. I've always felt that way. And the calling, the message I was getting was, put your head in the ring. What's the worst that can happen? You have this beautiful job. Everybody loves you over here. You might venture to a new community who they know you just by what you did. And it worked out. And I was selected after the national recruitment that they had. And that was a fun process. I just took it like, oh my gosh, I get to talk about everything that I've done. And, you know, I've always looked at those as opportunities. And some people are like, you're just crazy to think that interviews are, you know, they're high level. You know, but I knew I had nothing to lose. Here again, this was, what am I worried about? This is a wonderful opportunity. If it works, great. If it doesn't,
I still love my job.
And I got my family. First and foremost, I got my faith, I got my family. Nothing takes that away. So I'm okay, no matter what. And the beauty of this next step and chapter in my life was I was given the opportunity to build my own department. From scratch. The city had never had a communications and public affairs department. the manager said, we need you to build this team.
Wow.
We need to change our reputation. Chandler had gone through some very trying and difficult times. In fact, I wasn't sure I wanted to join that because I was seeing it from the outside going, but inside I'm like, I could really help them.
Yeah.
I could really, a part of me thought, I think I could help that community. And so I took it as a challenge. Again, here I had wonderful support.
Right.
They believed in me. I
Right.
thought they don't even, I mean, they know about me,
Right.
but they don't even know who I am. But I guess they knew a little bit
Yeah.
because they just gave me this charge. And again, I thought, I cannot mess this up, but I couldn't really because they never had it.
Right.
I thought no matter what, they don't really
Right,
know.
right.
I know what I need, and was just given every chance to build a successful team.
Yeah.
And to have people excited for you again.
Yes.
And even my Tempe team, they were sad to see me go, but they're like, that's our neighboring city. So
Right.
go
Yep.
show them, go
Yep.
help them.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So again, just, and continued my, I'm still running, mind you. That
Yeah,
has not
still
ended.
running. Yep.
Because now my life has really gotten
Yeah.
more busy again. If
Yes.
you couldn't get any more busy,
Yes.
I'm in a new community. I
Yeah.
don't know the residents. We had to move as a result.
Yeah.
That was a little challenging.
Right.
You know, sacrifices I
Pick
talked
up your
about.
family and yep.
Yeah, they didn't want to go.
Yeah.
My husband said, "Oh, you get an apartment. We'll go visit you." And I'm like, "Oh no, it's not going to work out that way. We got to
Yeah.
do this
Together.
together." And so I was willing not to take the job
Right.
if it meant my family wasn't going to be
Right.
together. And then my husband came around and said, "You go do this. You've got this." And again, there's the support. I'm like,
Yep.
I've got this.
Yep. And
And
then you all moved to Chandler.
and we
Yeah.
relocated, even though I was trying to convince the mayor I could see Chandler from my Tempe house.
He said, no, you got to live in
You got to have a Chandler address. So, you know,
Right.
in the scheme of things,
Yes.
again, another change, and it's the fear of the unknown.
Right.
And I dealt with that in my life.
Yeah.
Joining
Step by stepping through.
Step by step.
Stepping through. Stepping
I
through.
reflected back on joining ASU and not being on the team and the fear that, why can't I make that team?
Right.
I'm moving to a new community. I'll figure it out.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's
And
awesome. And you were there for quite a few years.
Almost 20 years.
And then at the end of your career, you were tell me your position, the assistant.
So I was the
You were
Communications
running
and
the
Public
city, too.
Affairs Department for about 17 years. Was asked to apply when my boss, the assistant city manager, retired.
Oh, okay.
The manager approached me one very late evening because I never went home early. About 7 o'clock at night, he came into my office and he said, "I would really like you to apply. I think it was going to be a national search. They always undergo. They want to get the best person. I understand."
Of course, yeah.
It had never crossed my mind. I knew how challenging that job was
Right.
because I supported the manager and the two assistants. It's like the president of the company and the two VPs.
Right.
I knew what I was potentially in for. So
Right.
it wasn't really something. I had a great job. I had a great team. I thought, just leave my little box alone.
I'm enjoying it.
I'm enjoying it. I'm a happy person.
Nope.
And
God had another plan for you.
Amen. God had another plan.
for you.
And so I said, I'll think on it. Thank you for bringing this up. And again, went home, did what I always did when I had a decision before me, is that it's not just my decision because it impacts my family.
Right.
So sat down with Juan, my husband, and even at this time the boys who were now in high school, and I said, I've been, again, there's no guarantee I'm going to get it. I've got to go through an assessment. Say, this is work. Now I really have to, if I'm serious about it, I'm going to have to put in a lot of work.
Right.
And once again, my husband said, go for it. You've got our support. Do it. Again, I've got that. I'm like, I'm
Right.
good.
Exactly.
And once again,
Yeah.
it doesn't land, not that I ever thought it wouldn't land right. I didn't know. I thought, I've got a great job.
Right.
No, you got to take risks sometimes. And I thought, again, I feel this calling. And again, I prayed about it a lot and felt good about my decision.
Right.
And prepared for it. And I have never been so ready in my life than when I interviewed for this position, because it was at an executive level.
Right.
And, it wasn't a one-day interview. It was almost a week-long process.
Yes.
Yeah, so pretty trying. I mean, talk
Yep.
about
A
an
grueling
exhausting
interview. Yes,
process.
exhausting and grueling interview.
But I was excited about
Yeah.
it. I put me into it.
Yeah.
And me into it
You
was,
took it as an incredible challenge.
I did.
And I'm going to do the best I can do.
I did.
Yeah.
And I was so prepared. There's nothing I could have been asked that I wasn't ready to answer. So at the end of the day, when it was done and I finished the interview process, it didn't matter what the outcome was. It really didn't, because I knew I did my best.
You gave 100%.
I gave 100%. I was ready for the challenge. If they felt I was a fit, wonderful. If they felt somebody else was better because we had, national candidates, great for us. We all were going to gain in the end, is how I looked at it.
Yes.
These are people I was going to support. Whoever, if it wasn't me, I'd be supporting the candidate that was selected. And it was a little tricky because we had other internal candidates, and that kind of, there's...
That always plays out a little bit.
It adds a little, and
could add a little drama, or
a little bit of politics involved, and I had learned that through just all the different positions I'd had. Politics were always in there, but I chose to be savvy about the politics, but not to become the politics.
Right,
That's what saved me through my career.
To continue to respect people. What I really like about what you shared, just listening to you again, and I know this about you, but pointing it out that no matter where you were in your life, you gave 100%. And it wasn't for the next position. It was for you. Because that's, and two, God does call us to do the best we can do wherever we're at. Because He's going to test us where we're at and what He gives us. So He started giving you a little, you gave 100%. And then He kept advancing you, because you were a good steward of what He gave you. And that's really important, that we are good stewards in the moment that we're in, not looking to where I want to be, but in the moment, what has He given me today? And I'm working unto Him, not unto man. And you really showed that in your career. You weren't looking for the next, you were looking to be the best you could be in the capacity that God gave you for that position.
Yes.
And He rewarded you to a very extremely high position in the city.
Yes. And I knew what a privilege it was, and I realized that in life, to your point, I wasn't always looking. I got to get ahead. I got to do the very best right here, right now. And then what happens when you do that in life, you become the obvious choice. Right. That's what I learned. That so when an organization, when your friends, when your community says, who could we count on?
Right.
You become the obvious choice just based on your performance, based on what you've given, your sincerity, your reputation. It precedes you, and I understood that, and how you treat people along the way. Even when I would leave positions, leave relationships, I always left them on a high level. Because, and I would share this with my boys, always leave your doors open, because you never know when you're going to need those people.
Right.
And I did find myself throughout my career calling on people that in a heartbeat said, what can we do for you?
Right, exactly.
It was an incredible, just real life moment.
Supporters.
Of supporters that I remember when I went for that big job in Chandler, I needed 15 personal references. I thought, do I know 15 people?
15.
That really know me good?
That's a lot.
So I started with my job at Chandler. I'm like, Arlene, remember me? Of course I remember me. Well, can you vouch for me in what I did? Right. So I went back to the Phoenix Police. I remember calling my boss, a captain, and I said, Captain Frazier, I've been asked to, I'm applying for this job and I need a He goes, Nachie, you're going to get the job, and I am your reference, and you've got this.
And that was several years before.
Oh, that was 17.
Yeah, years prior.
17, almost 20 years that I had not, and it wasn't like I kept in touch with these individuals. Granted, they would maybe see my name in the paper, they knew where I was in my life, but we didn't have contact.
Right.
But the fact that I could call upon these colleagues and let my reputation, again, proceed it, it just cemented for me, wow, you never want to close doors. So I tried to instill that in my boys. In your life, I told them, always.
And being authentic about it too, and I know you're truly authentic about that. Okay, Nachie, now I want to talk about when you retired. That's another amazing story about what you chose to do, and that was you wanted to become a certified PIO instructor. And so you decided just to go. So you practiced, you got PIO videos, what have you, and you practiced, and you showed up at a big auditorium with all of these other women that, quite frankly, were younger than you, right? In your 20s, because you had retired, even though you retired early, you still, like you said, you could have been their mother, right?
Exactly.
And again, just talking about your mindset, choosing not to get intimidated, but number one, you worked hard. You knew you were ready.
Yes.
And number two, you chose to use those ladies as inspiration. Like, wow, this is so cool. All these young people are here, and I'm here too. So I'm sure if there was a moment you're like, oh, but then you, oh, no, wait, I'm going to do this. And it was a grueling process. It was like 8 or 10 hours.
Yes, that is correct.
So being courageous again, and stepping into something that you really wanted to do, and not let what the world tends to tell us. Like the world would have said, what are you can't, you're how old? You can't do that. You're too old, right? You're competing with 20-year-olds. No, you chose to go in and just give your all. And again, you were prepared before you went.
Correct.
Yes.
As you indicate, I was blessed to be able to retire early.
Yes.
I knew that I wanted to focus on my fitness, even though I talked about running every morning to be ready for my job at hand. I knew that this next chapter in my life, I wasn't going to have all that running around with work, and that in order to keep a clear mind, a good physicality, to be able to live a long, healthy life, is I was going to have to protect this.
Right.
And that was the body. And
right.
yes, I did something so out of my wheelhouse to go and get certified to teach Pilates and yoga. I didn't know what Pilates was, I'll be honest with you. So I got, as you said, videotapes, I got DVDs, I got my hands on as much information, reached out to gyms who certify any instructors. My goal was not, I knew right then and there, I wasn't going to teach at a gym, but I had many friends who had retired, who were not comfortable going to a gym, who had self-esteem, body issues, and I thought, I can help.
Yes, how can I help them?
I can help.
Yeah,
and it's people that, former college roommates, friends that I knew that coming from me, they'd be willing to try something. So yes, I prepared, got ready, had no idea what I was getting myself into, show up at the big studio gym, and yes, there were a bunch of 18, 19, 20, 12. I think the youngest or the oldest before me was about a 21-year-old, and I thought, I looked around, I thought I could be their mother, every one of them. But I thought, keep at it. You've got this. There was a nano moment in time where I thought, I don't know if I'm going to, I had no idea what was in store for me. And I just hung in there, and I remember getting home. For me to be exhausted, I was like, whoa, this really took a lot out of you. But I was excited, and I got certified, and I thought, I am going to help other women. And that started, I set up a studio in my home, and I did it all. It wasn't going to be a job. I didn't need to have a job. I wanted to give back and to help women who were wanting to get healthy, who were wanting to also have, physical activity be a part of their life. And so it just started that way, and it was right before COVID, so I was able to get at least a good maybe year and a half under my belt. And then we ultimately have been up here in Payson in this beautiful nature. And so I started offering the same thing to friends up in Payson, up at the cabin, on my dam.
Yes, it's amazing. So,
absolutely. And I thought, who gets to do this? And
so you've continued to help people up here too, some older people too that came along to join you with it's basically stretching movements. And also you do have a video, because I know the one video you did was during the pandemic, which then friends weren't coming to your home, but you still wanted them to. So I'm going to link that below so you can see her YouTube video. But again, that was all done out of love to help others around you.
Yeah, because PIO is just a form of its stretch and strength. It's everything as women we tend to lose. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it. And I really believe that if people want to stay strong, and if they need someone to motivate them, that I could be that person. If they, by choice, if they wanted to do that.
And you don't have to go to the gym. With these movements, you're doing your own body. Your body weight and stretching.
And people have limitations, and so we work around all of that. And it's been a most wonderful next chapter in this life of mine.
We keep serving. So, I mean, we probably have to do another interview, because then she's done so many other things too to serve. But we're going to go ahead and wrap up, Nachie. I just want to thank you again. Just a wealth of knowledge and just inspiration. And ladies, I know you took a lot of strategies away. And so before we end though, are there any last minute tips or a summary that you want to give to us as we say goodbye for today?
Yes, and thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
course.
But if I could just sum up, I think the things that have been so important in everything I've talked about is first and foremost having a community of people, of support, be it your immediate family, your friends, your colleagues, relying on them because people want to help you succeed.
Right. Yes, for
Keeping
sure.
the positivity that you are your own limit. Other people should not dictate what you can and can't do in your life.
Yes.
And failure is okay because we learn from failure. If you don't try, that's failure, in my opinion. And, I think being able to just be resilient in what we do in our life and maintaining our motivation for what we do and remembering that we're not in it alone. I talk about community of people, but I also believe in the higher power, be it God, be it whoever that person, that thing that really motivates you, and knowing that you put yourself out in the universe, good things will happen.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. So thank you again, Nachie, for all that you shared with us today. And ladies, I know you took so many things away, and I'm also going to, on every one of my podcasts and YouTubes, I have a worksheet that you can actually download to help you process what you've listened to apply it to your life. And so you just need to click the link to my website. It will take you right to that that free link to get you that episode guide so that you can go further and really process everything that we've shared today, because there's so many nuggets in hearing other women's stories and how we can apply certain things in our own lives to help move us forward as well. So again, thank you, Nachie, and ladies, thank you so much. And I'll look for you again next Tuesday. Now you have a great and blessed week. Bye for now.